Today we're going to be taking a specific look at all the buffed and nerfed guns here within the Season 3 Reloaded update. Yesterday I went over and gave you guys some general setups here that you guys can use that are going to be meta, but today we're specifically focusing on those guns that did indeed get touched. So if you guys are going to enjoy the video, make sure you drop it a like, subscribe, those notifications turned on, and let's hop into it. So our first gun here today that did get weirdly touched for pretty much no reason was the CR56 Amax. I feel like Raven Software must have just got bored or something like that, and they said, hey, let's just throw some patch notes and stuff at this and update this gun, kind of nerf it a little bit for no reason. But if you guys want to go and still use it, here's a good setup for it, and let's jump into it. First thing, of course, is going to be that monolithic suppressor. We've been running the mono here for quite a while on all of these Modern Warfare weapons. After that, in the barrel section, we got the XRK Zodiac S440. That's going to be my go-to barrel here on this gun. It's pretty much been that way for a long time. After that, in the inner barrel section, we're going to use the Commando foregrip here, as the Commando is just the way to go. You guys could run something like maybe like the Ranger if you feel like the recoil is a little bit too much. But for me personally, I just pretty much always go for the Commando no matter what. I just don't really feel a need to use anything else. Otherwise, it will slow me down a little bit too much. And of course, in the magazine section, we got the 45 round mag here. I mean, there's the only other option here is to be the M6710 round. That's a whole bunch of shenanigans, so we don't ever want to use that. So we're just gonna go to the 45. And of course, in the optics section, we're gonna run something, pretty much one of the three choices, which is gonna be the Corp Combat Hollow Sight for more of a medium-ish style build. If you guys are gonna use it on something like Rebirth Island, if you're gonna use it at longer distance, go for the VLK 3x optic. Then, of course, down here, you can use something like the PBX Hollow 7 sight if you guys want to replace the Corp Combat Hollow with pretty much still the same exact effect. I mean, it's going to have the same zoom. It's just going to look slightly different and honestly a little bit cooler in my opinion. So that being said, that's my full build here for the CR56. They nerfed it a little bit. Don't know why. I guess Raven Software got a little bit bored. Next up in our series of updates of things that really didn't need to be touched is going to be the Cold War AK-47. They feel the need to mess with this. I swear to God, every single patch update. I don't know why. It does not make sense. But let's give you guys a setup here for it, an updated setup that you guys can use. Of course, this is going to be a very recoil heavy control style weapon. We have to be able to use a lot of recoil based attachments. So let's hop into it. First thing, muzzle is going to be the groove suppressor. This is going to help us out here. Of course, all that recoil, effective damage range, so on and so forth. Sound suppression, of course, all that good jazz. In the barrel section, we're going to use the Spetsnaz RPK barrel. They actually did touch this barrel in specific. They nerfed the like recoil control enough from like 8.5% and down to like a 7.5%. So it only is like a 1% decrease. You really shouldn't notice it too much, but nonetheless, I still should inform you guys that they did nerf the recoil control ability on this barrel. After that, in the inner barrel section, we're going to throw on the Spetsnaz grip here. Definitely need that now, especially since, you know, there's a little bit less recoil control ability on the AK-47. And then in the magazine section, I would personally go for something like the Bakelite 60, as I just prefer to have a 60 round magazine on my assault rifle. So it doesn't matter if it's Cold War, Modern Warfare, Vanguard. I pretty much like to go for a higher-ish magazine as opposed to the 45. So you guys could definitely run that if you want to get a little bit more mobility out of your gun, but for me, the Bakelite 60 works out beautifully. After that, in the optics section, we go through on the action alarms 3 times, as that's pretty much the way to go for this gun. I really don't feel like there's a need for, like, you know, a holographic on this gun. I really wouldn't even try that anyways. I just exclusively go for the 3 times, and that's really about it. So this is my full build here for the AK. They nerfed it, touched it a little bit, but hey, it's still definitely good in Warzone. Next up, in terms of going for assault rifles here, we're going to take a look at the Fara 83. So the Fara is also another one of those guns that got just a slight bit of a touch to it to make it, I guess, a little bit more in line with all the different guns. So let's hop into an updated build here for this gun. First thing on this is, of course, going to be that groove suppressor. After that, in the barrel section, we're going to go for that Spetsnaz barrel. We pretty much run this for a long time. By the way, I think the Fara 83 is pretty much like criminally underrated. It's got a great fire rate. It's very easy to control, and I think you guys should definitely be using this. It's like a little bit slept on in my opinion, so definitely, you know, make sure to note this build down. In the underbarrel section, though, we're gonna go for that Spetsnaz grip here, horizontal and vertical, kind of like the AK-47. Just got to use that. The magazine section, I don't particularly like the reload speed of the Fara 83. That's kind of like one of my drawbacks for using this thing, is that, I mean, it's got a great fire rate. I mean, it takes people out very quickly, but just that reload speed's a little bit slow, a little bit chalky, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we're just going to run the Spetsnaz 60 just to kind of get enough ammo in that mag, so when we do have to reload, it's not the end of the world. And then, of course, in the optics section, we're going to go for that action alarm 3 times, as that's just kind of the way to go for this thing. So that's going to be about that for this build. Definitely try it out. It's a really good AR that I don't see being used, honestly, all that much. And then we're to finish off the assault rifle portion of this video here for the updated setup. So the XM4, they touched this gun here once again, slightly decreasing its overall damage capabilities ever so slightly. I tried it out. You really don't notice much of a difference, but let's hop into a build here for it. It's not going to be too much different than what we've been using already. So first thing, of course, agency suppressor, like always. After that, in the barrel section, we have the 13.5 task force. Is pretty simple, tried and true. We've been running this for a while now. On a barrel section, field agent grip here. I mean, we'd run this as well for a while now as well. Then of course the magazine section, we're gonna go for that Stenag 60. You know what I'm saying? I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy. That's what I do. So we're going for that 60. Then of course, to finish off this build here, like we've been doing for the Cold War ARs, an Axle Arms 3 times. What do you know? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? This is my full build here. I don't know why they keep messing with some of these guns. They don't need to be touched. It's not like they're OP. But like I said, I think Raven Software must have just got bored. Next up, let's give you guys a build here for the Jack 12. This is also one of the things. So Raven pretty much went ahead and decreased the overall damage for a lot of the shotguns overall by like, it's a 20% for like literally everything. So while the shotguns are still going to be like good, they're not going to be as good. Also just because, you know, we did get the Rebirth health update for those guys that play Rebirth exclusively, pretty much like me, where you're going to go from that 250 to 300 health. I'm sure some of you guys out there have noticed that, where the health has been increased. So it kind of puts you in a tricky spot if you're trying to use a shotgun. But let's give you guys at least the best setup so you can dominate using a shotgun. The first thing in here is going to be that Forge Attack Marauder. Not going for that mono. Forge Attack Marauder is the way to go for this thing. It's just kind of how it is. In the barrel section, though, we're going to go for that ZLR J-3600 Torrent barrel. It's going to help with that damage range and tighter pellet spread. You got to make this thing as effective as it possibly can be. So that's definitely the way to go. The underbarrel section, we're skipping that, going straight to the magazine. And what we're going to do is we're going to go for the 20 round drum mag. You don't need to go for anything higher. I mean, 20 rounds is, you know, is definitely enough. You don't need to go for 32. That's going to slow you down way too much. It's not like this thing is that mobile. So 20 rounds is going to be very, very solid for this gun. After that, though, we're going to take a look here into the laser section. We're kind of a little bit more limited on a mobility style attachments for this thing, unfortunately. But pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to go straight in here for the 5MW laser for that increase in hipfire accuracy and sprint to fire speed. It's really, really solid, and it's pretty much the best option, at least in the laser category. You definitely want to make sure you're hip firing, you know, accurately, because you're not ADSing with this gun ever. Don't ever ADS. It's not worth it. Literally just take your finger off that left trigger. Don't ever do it. And then of course, then for our last thing in the rear grip section here, we're going down for that stipple grip tape here for that ADS speed and sprint to fire. We're not really using the aim down sight speed benefit of this. We're just pretty much trying to get that sprint to fire. Aiming stability doesn't matter because it's a shotgun. You're hip firing anyways. It's just kind of unfortunate that there's no other mobility attachments like a no stock or something like that to make this thing a little bit better. But this is as good as it possibly can get for this gun. And I mean, you guys can definitely try it out in Warzone. I personally have not tried it since they decreased all the damage, but I can imagine shotguns are being a little bit annoying. So Raven went ahead and nerfed them. All right, so next up here, let's take a look at the more or less the SMG side of things here. I know a lot of us love SMGs here. I use them all the time on Rebirth, and of course just in regular Warzone. Actually, I don't really play regular Warzone out there. I just play Rebirth, but you guys get the point here. The Milano actually got an update. It got kind of a nerf slash a buff. They increased the, like, some of the minimum damage to it, but they decreased some of the damage. It's a little bit weird. Don't know why they're doing it. It's not like the Milano is OP. Whatever. But let's just hop into it. First thing, muzzle, agency suppressor. We've been running that for a while. You guys could definitely try the sound suppressor. I've done that. It actually works out kind of nicely. But for me, usually speaking, the agency is the way to go. In the barrel section, the 10.6 task force barrel, we absolutely love the task force on this thing. Makes it the most effective it can possibly be. In the laser section, we're going for that Tiger Team Spotlight here, of course, to help us with our overall mobility. Down in the magazine section, though, we're going to go for that beautiful Stenag 55 round drum. Gotta love the 55. It's a great amount of ammo. It's not going to slow you down too much. And of course, the reload speed is very nice. Then finish off this build here in the stock section, going for that beautiful Raider stock, is that's going to help us out with our overall mobility once again, much like the Tiger Team Spotlight. So it's my full build here for this thing. I definitely did not need to have this thing ever nerfed in any capacity, but you know what I'm saying, Raven just likes to do Raven things. Next up on the SMG side of things, here's far stuff that's actually good and beneficial. Let's give you guys a build here for the OTS. As they touched that here within the update, decreased the overall damage from 30 down to 29, so won't really make that much of a difference, but you guys get the point. Like, they kind of mess with it a little bit. Let's give you guys a build though. First thing, Cruise Suppressor, like always. After that, barrel section, Task Force barrel. Of course, we run this for a minute now. This is where it gets a little bit tricky and people can decide what they want to use. But basically, after the magazine, I should say, we're going to use the VDV 40 round fast mag. Don't ever switch off from the VDV 40 round fast mag. I've seen people try to use this. It's a bunch of, you know, BS shenanigans. This is truly the bee's knees, so we're going to be using that. And then of course, then in the rear grip section, this is where it gets up for debate, but pretty much I go for the serpent wrap here for that increased ADS time. I find it works out very nicely. as opposed to using something like a Tiger Team Spotlight or a Bruiser Grip, which are the other options more or less. But then, of course, in the stock section to finish off this whole build here, the KGB Skeletal Stock. Gotta love this thing. So this is my full build here for it. It hasn't really changed hardly at all, but it's definitely still good. Definitely should still be using it. You know, but that's it. That's the update. All right, now let's give you guys a build here update for the Armaguerra. This is one of those guns that came into the game, wasn't really used. It got buffed. It actually got a little bit of buffed again, so it's definitely, you know, better than it used to be. So let's give you guys an update build here for it. Of course, muzzle category, we're gonna throw on that beautiful, where's the recoil booster? There's the second thing. I kind of passed over it, but we run that on pretty much most of our Vanguard SMGs. In the barrel section, we're gonna go through on the body 350 millimeter CII barrel, whatever that is, pretty much the body barrel. We run this here pretty much exclusively on this gun. And after that, in the underbarrel section, this gun's gonna have a little bit of recoil, so definitely need to control that. It's gonna bounce around. It's kind of gonna jiggle around a little bit. So we're gonna use that M1941 hand stop. In magazine section, this is where you guys can diff around a little bit. For me, I actually found the 9mm 42 round fast mag was a really solid option. It doesn't have any cons, so you're pretty much getting sleight of hand along with a 42 round mag, which is good. I wasn't as big of a fan of the 9mm 60. I mean, it's the same ammunition type, it's just a little bit less rounds and of course a faster reload. So for me personally, I'm gonna go for the 42 round fast mag. That's my go-to. After that though, on the ammunition side of things, we're gonna go straight for lengthened here for that increase in bullet velocity. You can never go wrong with having your bullets, you know, register faster. In the rear grip section here, we're gonna go straight down for that beautiful polymer grip, got flinch resistance and accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. This gun, like I said, it bounces around enough already, so you do not need it to be bouncing around more when you're getting shot at. Trust me, we don't need to be doing that. In the optics section, though, we're going to go down here for that slate reflector, and that's going to be my option there. I don't like the iron sights on this thing. I don't believe they're all that great. The iron sights on the ground loot, you can deal with it, but other than that, I mean, for a straight loadout gun, definitely not. In the stock section, though, we're going to go straight for that Amaretto SA folding, the very first one here for that increase in sprint speed. And of course, our sprint to fire speed, my bad, and movement speed. And down in the perk section, we're going to go for hard scope for the initial recoil control because, like I said, I mean, this thing does have some recoil. It really does. It's kind of stupid. I don't get it, but it does. And then, of course, in perk 2, we're going to go straight for quick, but increase in overall sprint speed to make us just a little bit faster. This is my updated build here for the Armaguerra. Absolutely love this gun. It's definitely going to be, again, used a lot more so now. But definitely go ahead and give it a shot. Last but definitely not least, we're going to give you guys a build here for the Owen Gun. So this definitely received a bit of a nerf here in terms of, you know, how it performs, but it's still going to be pretty solid. You guys just have to try it out for yourselves more or less, and just to see if it stacks up against everything else. Personally, I covered the well gun yesterday, and I believe the well gun's going to be a little bit better than the Owen Gun nowadays, but you guys can still definitely use the Owen if that is your go-to and you feel comfortable with it. First thing though, of course, is going to be that recoil booster. Like always, we're going to skip the barrel section because the barrel's been nerfed in the ground too much to be really that great. We're going to go for that beautiful Mark VI skeletal here. I'd normally go for the hand stop, but because we don't have a barrel that's going to chalk our, like, you know, our recoil, make it a lot more so, we're just going to go for the skeletal, which is going to give us an increase in overall ADS time, which is definitely a huge solid. In the magazine, we're going to go straight still for that 7.62 Gorenko 72 round drum. It's still going to be good. It got a bit of a nerf, but it's still ultimately going to be the best thing to run on this thing. In the ammunition side of things, though, we're going for lengthened, of course. And then in the rear grip, we're going to go for the leather grip here for ADS speed, aiming stability. I have people ask me, you know, why are you not using the fabric? But I mean, to be honest, the fabric's not really all that great because you really notice that it drop in accuracy is just kind of ridiculous. So I go for leather, and that's worked out very nicely. The optics section, though, we're gonna go for that slate reflector. I like the slate reflector when I'm not using the rapid barrel. For whatever reason, I feel like the Night Arm Model 47 works better for the rapid barrel, but when I'm not, I like the slate reflector. It's a personal preference at that point. It's pretty much what it comes down to. In the stock section, though, we're gonna go straight for that remove stock here. Gotta love the remove stock. Max mobility, can't argue with that. And of course, then in the perk section, we're gonna go straight for acrobatic, movement speed and sprinting move speed, of course. And then perk 2, we're gonna go for quick for that increase in overall sprint speed. This is my full build here for this thing. This has been my full top 5 style video, giving you guys all the updates for all these different guns, all the good ones. At least there's some that I left out because they're really not that great. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, those notifications turned on, and just turn on the cap. Don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.